Everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Bench. I'm your host for this momentous occasion. I'm Trey Rowland. I'm here with Kolby Crawford, John Evans, and the man, Chris Nee. Guys, last week we brought the whole squad together for the annual round table and another annual event that is telling you guys it is game week, and that is the annual 2026 On the Bench draft. Don't worry, I'm going to explain all the rules. Hopefully, for the first time in like 10 years, we can try to figure out what a snake draft is. RIP Brendan Sonnone. I don't think we're going to spend the first 15 minutes arguing about the rules. I'm going to try to make it cut and dry, but famous last words. What? Famous first words, let's pay the bills. All right, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, 60% off annual VIP promo code, NOL60. This is the time to join. If you've been holding off, cut it out. Stop procrastinating. The season's literally here. Like you gotta get on the bandwagon, dude. It's Noles 24/7. It's the best Florida State football website that's ever been created. Knowledge, analysis, fun, hijinks, whatever you need. Noles 60, and you get 60% off the entire year. It's not gonna last forever. It is game week. Get on that. And when you're getting on that, have a little Chattanooga whiskey. I talk about the ice wine cask finish and just all of the experimentation, all of the forward-thinking things that Chattanooga whiskey does. Continue to be on the lookout for that. There's special editions, things of that nature. But, guys, if you just need a solid drinking whiskey right before this season, like I said, celebratory or helping cope, whatever, whiskey's fun, go to Chattanooga Whiskey. They got what you need, the 111 proof, Founders Editions. Brendan sent me like little sample packs in the past, and every single sip that I had was heavenly. I encourage you, stock up. You'll have a lot of money anyway after your Noles 60% off. Use that on whiskey. And then use the money that you save on Chattanooga whiskey, because it's also a value-conscious brand, and put that money and sell your house with the Turner Group. Sip that whiskey and sell your house. Colin and Amy Turner, I'm not going to lie to you, and I never will, and I never would. They're the best realtors I've ever seen. They're fantastic. They're dynamite. They're A1. They rule. Check out that Instagram. Whatever you need, buy, sell, trade, Airbnb, a lot of different things. I have no idea, but they do, because they're the experts. It's the Turner Group. They will take care of you, and tell them that Noles 24/7 sent you. All right, Chris, should I let you guys talk a little bit, or should I just get right into the rules explanation and see if I don't just trip over my tongue? I'm going to leave that one up to you.
I can fire up the lovely spreadsheet if it helps a little bit to explain some of the rules. I made I'm the old guy around here. By the way, the name of my team this year, the old guy versus the guys. Real creative bunch here.
Young Guns. We couldn't come up with anything else.
I thought about
far too creative.
Tank was way too short. We could have focus grouped this.
Young Guns, trademark. Young Bucks, trademark. The new guys, just go with it. I'm pretty sure there's a movie, but nobody remembers it.
Hey, man, this fall's about to be a movie.
I love it. We're going to put all of our effort into the actual analysis, not the name game. Isn't that right, Chris? Old guy versus new guys. It's a 2v1. It's a handicap match, though. It's you versus the Young Bucks, though, right?
Yep, and both teams get Ashton Daniels as QB1 as to not tilt a team one way or the other. You know, the other team taking a quarterback. But I do want to know, if you had to take a quarterback and it wasn't Ashton Daniels, who would you take? On three.
Malachi Marshall.
1, 2.
Oh.
Damn it, Colby.
I mean, yeah, I'm with him three.
But that's the right answer. I'm proud of you.
Too excitable, Chris.
I know. These young guys, they had no self-control. Also, kicker, punter, long snapper, because there are people too. Gabe Panikowski, Daniel Hughes, Caleb Bowers. They go.
Do you not care about snapping?
Snapping is important, but we will get there.
You have watched some of the old stuff, Colby. Very nice.
To explain it, each of us will draft a running back, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex offensive position, and then offensive line left to right, trying to be as specific to position as we can. Defensively, a jack, 2 D linemen, an edge, 2 backers, 2 cornerbacks, a rover, a boundary, and a field. Those are your safeties. Rover's really the only one of those 3 that I think you have to stay really hard line on personally, but that's just my opinion. And this is where Sonnone would always get tripped up in the past as we did this. We're going to do a snake draft. Trey, in some form or fashion, in his brilliant manner, is going to determine who gets pick number 1. Then the other team, and the teams are, again, me versus the 2 young guys, will get pick 2 and 3. And then the other team will get pick 4 and 5, and it goes back. And the ones who drafted 2 and 3 draft 6 and 7. There we are.
Got it, fellas?
But it feels like it's been made real hard over the years.
I swear to God, if you guys screw this up, you're both fired. Like, we can't do this again. We have to have an improvement over the snake. Well, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna host. I think it'll be interesting to see who's going to be like the lead GM out of the two young gun group. Chris, we'll see. I don't know if you guys can confer in the background, slap your microphone around a little bit. I can feel the excitement bubbling through you. So let's do the super scientific way of who's going to get the first pick. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. All right, I'm thinking of a number 1 to 5. Chris,
Do me and Colby each get to pick one?
no.
Sure.
Oh,
I was trying to put the
No,
odds
you're already
in your
screwing it up.
favor.
Nope, they got it. They got a 12
right.
consensus, dude.
It says
Well,
you
how
called
are
on
we
me
supposed-
first.
Chris gets to go first. Hey,
3.
Experience. Okay.
all right, Colby. Do you want to go higher or lower than 3?
Let's just go 5.
Yeah, sure.
The number was 5. The Young Guns get the first draft. They get the first pick. Chris gets the next 2. We're done. We're in. All right, guys.
We don't even need to talk on this one.
I
No.
don't think so, but let's go.
No, Deuce, all the way.
Yeah,
Easy.
we'll take Deuce easy
Why?
because he's the best player on the team, and
Right.
receiver is probably the second most important position on offense besides quarterback in college football right now.
Yeah.
And he's so clearly above anybody else I would take anyway. So
Chris, as far as like Deuce Robinson's like camp, I mean,
Yeah.
Ashton Daniels broke the rock, but I mean, every single report that we've heard is like Deuce Robinson is a professional. Deuce Robinson is the best player on the team. Deuce Robinson, every single day he has shown up in the facility. Has there been anything in particular that they really have noticed, like an improvement in his game? Like, hey, be on the lookout for this on the field next year. He's going to be even better at whatever specific aspect it's been.
Well, 2 things on Deuce. One, I talked to somebody about wrapping up camp, and I tried to write a decent amount of that today on the site. But with Deuce, it's just sort of like he's almost taken for granted because he is so consistently good and he does approach it in the right manner. He's been really good about being a leader, something he wanted to take more of the reins of since the season, basically since January. The second thing is, yes, he'll be better, and I think it's a twofold reason. I think, one, with Gus Malzahn being gone, and they'll actually use him in a greater variety of ways.
Sure.
But like to some degree, he was a little handcuffed by what they did with Malzahn offensively. But obviously, he's still really good. When you stack 1,000-yard season, it's almost idiotic to say like he was handcuffed. But I think he'll be allowed to do more, to show more versatility as a wide receiver. And secondly, I think he's worked really hard to be better at showing his versatility as a wide receiver, better at running his routes, better at understanding how to get in and out of things, better at just attacking different portions of the field, not solely being the vertical threat that we all know he is.
John, we saw him line up a lot. I know in his film coming over from USC, he actually played a lot more like slot than people would expect due to his like measurements. What do you think we're going to see? Like to Chris talking about that versatility is going to be a highlight this year. What are some things that you think that we can expect on the field out of Deuce Robinson?
I mean, that's kind of been the talk with him throughout camp, is just putting him in more spots and be able to make sure he stays involved in the offense. When he's your best player like that, you got to make sure he's getting the ball. If you can put him in the slot, and they've also talked about too, just guys like Boggs and Lopez, even those guys are the guys who you would think in the slot initially, but then being able to line up a little bit more outside and just kind of having more of a positionless receiver room so that you can try to keep Deuce more involved. Like that's the big thing for me is just how does the offense make sure that Deuce Robinson is getting the ball and getting 5 to 10 targets a game at least, because that's what you need to be a successful football team for Florida State. And then after that, it's can he be the guy who creates that separation on those third downs and things like that if you put him in those situations, because we know what he can do as a jump ball guy, as a deep threat guy, but that's really the next step for him is if he can win on those little in breakers over the middle on third downs that you're going to need this season for Ashton Daniels.
Kolby Crawford, Take It or Knee It, sponsored by
The Turner Group.
We're a little off, but that's okay. Yeah, and they were talking about on the message board the Take It or Knee It thing. They want some new names going on there. Okay, we're open. We're open to suggestions. Keep them coming. I think that one rolls off the tongue rather nicely. But Take It or Knee It, sponsored by the Turner Group. Kolby Crawford, Take It or Knee It. Deuce Robinson's going to have more yards this year than he had last year.
What was he? Just over 1,000 last year? I think.
I believe so. I don't have the stats in front of me.
I think it was maybe 1,014.
Let's double check.
I'm looking
1,081. I was going to say 1,089. Okay, so 1,100 yards. You know what? Yeah, I'll take it.
You'll take it? You'll take
Yeah.
it?
I think the thing to me too would be I think he'll have more receptions than he did last year, because last year was only 56 catches to get to those 1,000 yards, because he was averaging almost 20 yards per catch, because it was a lot of just using him as a deep ball guy. I think that number is gonna certainly be higher, more in like the 70, 75 type range.
Yeah, I'm interested because as you say a lot of things about Thomas Castellanos last year, they connected on a lot of big plays. Like their conversion of big play percentage, like Tommy to Deuce, was really, really high. I wonder if, like you said, John, that maybe that explosive percentage going to dip down, but he's going to make up for that with more kind of receptions, doing some other stuff. All right, we spent a lot of time on Deuce. I think that we actually need to. Like Chris said, he's kind of been taken for granted just because he's such an alpha. Big dog, you get 2. Where are you going to go?
I'm going to Xavier Chaplin because he's the only left tackle that's actually on this football team, in my opinion, who they can play in games right now. It's a position where I think they'd be in some trouble if they were to lose him. Nate Papp's probably the guy that could most likely slide out there, but you don't want Nate on the left side if you can avoid it. He's much better as a right guard, right tackle, in my opinion.
Sure.
And then I'm going with maybe one of the most important guys on the whole roster, which is Rowland Kennedy. If they're going to have the pass rush that they so strongly desire, he's going to be a key cog of that. He's a guy that they're kind of banking on. He's had a really good camp. You know, we can bang the drum of the past stats, what he's done at A&M, that he's been, you know, somewhat limited in playing time and somewhat limited in his impact in games. But the FSU believe that he can be a one-on-one type guy for them at back. Jalen Anderson's his backup there most likely, and Jalen's going to be good. But Rylan is the guy at that position.
Chris, I got a question. Obviously, you're drafting like an NFL GM, like those money positions, right? Jack, like that edge rusher, that left tackle. And these are 2 guys at Florida State went out and they grabbed in the transfer portal. They are important positions, and you're drafting them because they're important. Have these 2 guys also been good in preseason camp? We know that they need to be good. Have they been as good as been expected? Or like, what's the actual level of play out of both these guys at 2 of the most important positions in football?
Well, Chaplin's funny. Like, I haven't heard anything about Chaplin being bad, but I really haven't heard a whole lot about Chaplin at all. Just pretty much consistently that he is a guy at left tackle, that he's always there, and it's sort of one of those things where you're ordained to be the guy there. Nothing has changed about that. With Rylan, yeah, the speculation, conversation coming out of camp, the thing that coaches on the staff say, the things that we've heard in feedback is he's been an impactful pass rusher. He's a guy that can win one-on-ones, creates an edge rush, has a good motor. Something that him and Jalen Anderson have both been praised for is that they have very high motors, guys that go really hard, really fast every time they're out there. So, yeah, Rylan is a guy that they've really liked. But, again, he's just been going against the FSU offensive line. As we learned a couple years ago, it's always one of those where you can't judge that stuff till you see it against different people, different bodies, and how they do. And it usually takes a few games. It's not, you know, God, I'd love it if Rylan Kennedy's first snap of the season is sacking Trey Hedden, I believe it is, for New Mexico State at quarterback, but like we shall see.
It kind of depends, right? Too, and once again, a lot of these guys, not Chaplin, he's played a lot of snaps, he's played a lot of football, but like a Rylan Kennedy, his role is going to be much expanded from what it is. Like, how do you adjust to those extra snaps per game? How do you get into the flow of a game? Do you start to spiral maybe after getting stonewalled a couple times? Like, he's going to be on the field a lot more, and that's something that you're going to have to need to adapt to. One thing before we move on to the young guns with their 2 picks. Colby, you know Xavier Chaplin. You watched him play at VT. What should Florida State fans kind of expect out of him? And maybe is he have you gotten the sense that he's a different player at Florida State than he was at Virginia Tech?
I think he's definitely a different player, and I think finally throughout his collegiate career, he's getting his best coaching. When you look at his instructor last year at Auburn, and especially his time at Virginia Tech under Ron Crook, that was initially obviously a monetary decision as well, but also truly if they did have a different coach that was compelling at the time, I think you would have seriously looked to stay. I mean, their offer was right similar in that ballpark. But, you know, you're seeing with these linemen, when you don't get cohesion and you're hearing it from the same voice multiple years, it does kind of stunt your growth. Now, what are you getting? It's a 6'7", 330 hoss of a left tackle. When you draw up, hey, this is what you want, that's what you have. Now, there's been inconsistencies. Last year, I think his biggest thing, if you talk to Auburn fans, penalties, right? Simple mental mistakes. And then letting different moves start to spiral. You get beat on a bull rush and then a spin move, and then things just started to spiral out of control. Overall, throughout his career, I would say he's been a pretty consistent player, pretty consistent at a high level as well, obviously outside of spurts last year. So if he can live up and fit that bill, he's someone that, you know, I think you could see realistically be drafted a day 3, day 2 potentially type guy, and I think Florida State's really going to need that if they want to accomplish any of their goals this year.
I'm with you. And he's that only, like you guys said, like Chris said, he's the only like surefire left tackle body, like physically, like the pedigree, all that. He's really got to hit, and he's got to be healthy all year. All right, Chris, you get 2 more now. No, actually, no. Dude, sorry, God, dude, I was talking crap on Brendan. I was joking, and you guys caught me. Good call. New guys, you get 2.
John, what are we thinking? My brain kind of goes to Jabril Rolls. I think.
Yeah, that's instantly where I'm going to. Just in terms of like, I think he's probably the best player on the defense for me, and also just in terms of like the money positions, like you were saying, in terms of the way that NFL teams build their teams. There's a reason Devin Witherspoon just got paid like he did for the Seahawks. Like the cornerbacks are one of the most important positions, and I think he's easily the top guy in that room.
Okay. Consensus. I want you guys to start duking it out. All right, maybe it'll happen on this next.
All right, if we stick with that theory and we're looking at our board, defensive line, a guy last year as a true freshman, Mandrell Desir, he's going to be rotating in there quite a bit. But what are your thoughts?
I'm right with you on Mandrell as the next pick. I personally think Darryl Desir could end up having a bigger season than his brother just because of what he does as a bit more of a true edge guy versus a guy who plays a little bit more inside. Mandrell does, but when you're drafting like this, it's hard not to just take the given production that he had last year, even if Darryl had some pass rush win rate numbers that were a little bit higher.
Which position are you putting Mandrell at?
What are
Jack, 2D line, or edge?
Definitely not Jack.
Yeah, I think we'll just put him at the D line for now. Yeah, can we move those around too if we need to?
It depends on how much we hate each other as this goes on.
Okay. Yeah.
Admitted 16. Yes. Get to me at minute 53. And we'll see how congenial Mr. Nee is.
Most likely, yes. But sometimes some of us turn into people that aren't so nice. So
Christopher, to be honest, the spirit of the defense is versatility, right? All these guys are going to be lined up all over the place, right?
That's the way they're sell it in the in the preseason. We'll see if it actually lives up to what that's supposed to be. I'm a little hesitant to believe that they're magically versatile. I think they just came up a little short in plugging some holes. I do think they're better defensively. I don't want to be a complete Debbie Downer. I think they're much better at linebacker. I think if things work out with their top 6 or so D linemen, they're going to be okay. But I don't think they're necessarily better up front by any stretch.
No, they're just gonna have to. They're gonna have to play. It's that interior rush defense, man. And of course, like you think at the end of last season,
Kevin Wynn.
There's a lot placed on him, and he's had a good camp. Right, lost the right weight. His name started to get mentioned more, but that's a lot. And that's a team that once again they're still going to test the linebackers opposing offenses, but you better believe they're going to duo inside zone, and they're going to jam it down your throat just to see if you've got any sort of resistance, because you didn't at the end of last season with largely a lot of those same guys on the defensive line, particularly in the middle. It'll be interesting. Now we've seen undersized defensive lines, man. You shoot gaps, you play a lot of games. Knighton and White have been really good about the stunts and things like that, but you are going to have to play one-on-one physical football sometimes, and a guy's just going to have to eat a double team, and these guys are going to have to do that. We'll see how that goes. Are you guys confident about that? The run def? What have you guys heard about the run?
As Trey's saying that, I'm sorry, I'm almost laughing because all I can think about is you saying, why can't we have big and fast guys? Because I feel like everyone's trying to sell themselves on the twitched up, lighter guys. Overall, we'll see. I think, Chris, we keep going back to, how much can we talk about it before they kick off a week from about today? Yes, they've been gouged at times with Sam Singleton and Us Chroma looking great in some scrimmages, but at the same time, not fully live. So who's to say if you put a ball on this guy here or there? So
the green jersey life of scrimmages always makes me struggle to swallow the pill of it's good or it's bad for the running game or for the defense stopping the running game.
Sure.
The feedback is they do believe they can be better at stopping the run. Part of that is they think they've got linebackers who are far more physical, better at getting downhill, better at plugging holes, better at finishing plays. That's a big piece of that. As far as just straight D-line winning at the point of attack, I think it was scrimmage number 2 where they talked about one-on-one success. That was a good thing to hear.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was the whole time I recall hearing it in the preseason, spoken to that level. We'll see if that's something that can persist. But I think they do believe they have a handful of guys that can win one-on-ones. Rylan Kennedy both of the twins. I think they believe Jalen can do that, not maybe as frequently as somebody as Ryland might be able to, but that he is capable of doing that. The question is if a guy like a Tay Diggs or Kevin Winter or Deontay McCray or Daniel Lyons, if they can add to that group, because you're going to need 4 to 5 of them that can consistently do it. And you need guys that can last tackles too.
Yeah. It's one of those things. The win in the one-on-ones is important, especially on the outside. You need a pass rush who makes the entire defense better. The guys that do the nasty work, taking up the double teams, causing a collision in the hole, not necessarily like making the tackle, but like forcing the run to the outside so the rest of the defense can recover. Florida State's defense has had a nasty habit the past couple of years watching it on film, trying to jump around blocks and try to like kind of, I don't know, kind of play renegade a little bit, like try to like be solo hero. And it's just, we need sound defense. Like we need sound positioning. We need sound alignment. So those guys in the middle, I want them winning like interior pass rush reps, and interior pass rush is unbelievably disruptive, but man, they're going to send a lot. They're going to send a lot of beef at the Desirs and some of the other interior defensive linemen that we're going to talk about this draft. They're going to have to just kind of hold up. And sometimes it's not going to be flashy, but we're really going to commend them on film. Chris, you're up. Next 2 picks. I think this is good so far. There haven't been too many trip ups. Like there's been consensus on the young guy. Chris goes Chroma right off rip.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
I think
Kolby.
they're a run first team, and I think he's a guy that's going to be the key piece of that for them, unless they run their quarterback into the ground, which Mike Norvell is not known for doing.
Kolby, do you raise, like, once again, we're talking about like positions of importance. Obviously, recently it wouldn't be running back, but Chroma is one of the most talented players on this entire roster. Do you question Chris's pick? Do you dare question Chris's pick out loud?
No, I don't question it. I was looking at I didn't do so much prep work, but I was just looking at a makeshift board I had. He probably was going to go off here. When you look at it, like, yeah, I think they're pretty deep at running back, but what this team is going to be built on is heavily on the run. And when you look across this roster, he's maybe one of a few guys like, okay, that's legitimate NFL talent if he puts it together. This year, everything that you've heard, obviously coming out of high school, they felt very high on his ability to catch the football out of the backfield. You've only heard positive things about him in pass protection, which was something that made him come off the field a year ago. So, no, he's going to be probably the star back of this team. So I think it's a good pick.
He made a noise when you drafted Chris. I noticed that, and he totally like you're intimidating him right now. I noticed that, Kolby. I heard the noise. All right, Chris.
I'm petrified. I think we're snatching the draft. We got Deuce. Like I feel great about where we are.
Oh, dude. Oh, Chris. No, yeah. A little trash talk would be nice. Chris, you get another pick, dude.
I'm glad to see Simone's unwavering confidence was passed on to somebody. I'm going with Ashland Barker because I think he's going to lead this football team in tackles.
Do you think that's a good thing?
That's always what's asked because he's a safety, but there's an element of the middle funnels with the 3-3-5 elements that they play with, and Barker's a guy who can play in the box and is very physical. Yeah, it's not a good thing if it's because of missed tackles. It's a good thing if he's everywhere on the field making plays at all 3 levels, which is what I think it will be in its best form.
Yeah, and
they've also loved Barker. He's probably the most highly praised guy in preseason camp defensively.
And I think it's one of those things too, just getting people out of that mindset. Like he's going to be like that. That's not necessarily a bug in the Tony White defense. I think that you saw a lot of the runs were funneled to Earl Little Jr. last year. And when it worked against Bama, it worked, but it's once again, you gotta bring them down with proper technique, but I want people to get out of that mindset. It's not necessarily a bad thing. All right, new guys, you get 2.
John, what do you think? Next 2?
Part of me thinks that we should take an O lineman just because but I'm not quite sure who that O lineman is necessarly, unless you have.
Hang on. So let's think 2 positions here because we definitely have a gap on O line. And before we do that, are we sold enough at linebacker on Chris Jones to think he's?
That was the other name I was going to just about to bring up, just because
one linebacker.
I think he's similarly to Rawls, where it's like he's the alpha in that room. Yeah. You can take him and feel comfortable about that.
I agree. And
so
then
you're going Jones.
Yeah, we'll do one for Jones. And then O-line, do we think Welch Joyner or Pabst Woo-Woo? Because there's not many tackles. Do we want Pabst over him, though?
Like, I don't feel great about that's where I'm struggling on the O-line is like I don't feel great about drafting Pabst at tackle because I think he's a guard for this team and that's where he plays his best ball. but I'd probably like him at guard a little bit more than Welch Joyner at center, maybe. But
Yeah, I'm down with that. Let's take Pabst.
Okay, we'll
At
lock
guard?
that in at right guard then,
All right.
and we will figure out offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Just like I'll be honest with you, and this goes from Herb Hand's comments. Like it was funny. I feel like a week and a half ago, it was like the starting five. It was Jacksonville. It was all this chemistry. They're in a way better spot than they were. You start to get a little bit more truth serum from Herb Hand, right, Chris? Like it's now there's competition. We're not taking the other tackle. We had my boy Wee Woo penciled in as the starting right tackle. How are we feeling about? Has the line situation always been like this, or is this just, or am I chicken littling a much? It just feels like it doesn't feel as solidified as when we were talking about the line like 10 days ago, right? Am I picking up on something there?
So with Otto bowling, it was because Otto missed a few days and bowling took advantage of it. With Wee Woo and John Daniels / other people that can play that position, Nate Pabst being one of them, I think it's more that Wee Woo is inconsistent is probably the right word, but he'll lose some.
Mm-hmm.
But
he's athletic. We knew that coming in, right? He's an athletic kid.
I thought Herb Hand's comment of he has a high give a crap factor, I think is how he described it regarding Wee Woo. I thought was kind of a context clue of that's probably his dude, that like he's willing to live with a loss here and there from the guy because he knows he cares and he is capable of doing it pretty well over a 60, 70 snap game. So I still think it will be Wee Woo at right tackle, but I think there's also an element of they're trying to lift 6, 7, 8, 9 in that group, which is Paul Bowling, Sean Perrette, Sam Ann Thompson, and Jonathan Daniels, that they're trying to elevate all those guys. And John Daniels is a guy who's had a good camp and put himself into discussion as a reserve tackle for this football team, which that's a homegrown one, and FSU has lacked those in recent years.
Would be nice. Chris, you get 2.
Well, since we're in the O-line portion of the draft, and I was going to take Pabst because I like his versatility, I'm going to go with Chimdia and Wee Woo here.
Wee Woo, get it.
My right tackle, because you got to have the good bookends. You can fill in the inside, but you got to have good bookends. And I think those are the 2 best tackles on the football team on my team. And then I really liked Chris Jones, and I won't lie, he honestly was probably my next pick. So I'm proud of you guys for thinking like me. It's good to see that we're on.
Well, I'm sure there's another linebacker. You want to use a pick on a linebacker, don't you? Right? They're all about the same,
we'll
right?
Get there. There's a lot of linebackers on this team that I think will play.
Sick.
You know what? I'm going to be that guy, and with my flex, I'm going Sam Singleton. And that's overvaluing him and taking him early, but that also diminishes the running back options for them.
Chris, you just don't want to throw the ball to anybody. No,
I don't. I want to run.
You're just trenches, and you're just a run. You're a
running team that can hit passing plays when they have to have it. They have a quarterback who I think will be more dink and dunk than shot play, but they're going to try to set up shot plays with it run.
John Kolby, are you just worried about getting just bulldozed by this team of tackles and running backs? I think you might be in trouble.
No, I think we're good. We'll spread him out, beat him over the top.
We can get the 5th. I think we can get the guy who is the 5th best transfer running back in the portal. I'm sure FSU loves him as their 3rd stringer. So,
all right, boys, I like it. It gets spicy. All right, new guys, 2 picks. Let's go.
With him doubling up on running back, I'm slightly tempted to just take Mekhi Danzy and add another threat at receiver.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Because we can kind of own that market with the top 2 guys there at that position. And then, I mean, we can wait on tackle at this point now because Chris has 2 tackles. Like, unless
he's not going to get another, so we can kind of sit on that.
Exactly.
Unless he wants to play.
I'd be tempted to.
I mean, I just said it, so if you do it, that's fine. Because guess what? Nate Pabst, get ready to learn right tackle, buddy.
learn right tackle, buddy.
I'd be tempted here to take Daryl this year because I think he's probably the next best.
That's a good one.
Defensive player.
Yeah, I like him. Do we want? I mean,
what are we thinking, guys? And
Welch Joyner, maybe. I don't know.
I think I'd take Daryl this year here over.
No, I like it. And you like him at edge?
Things out on the inside because we have our guys solidifying the inside in Pabst, and then we could take 2 of the better D linemen.
You like him at edge?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm good with that.
And Chris, they were talking about possibly like this year could be the ascension of Daryl, right? Obviously, Vandrell got all the headlines.
Yes.
They were both way ahead of schedule. Do you echo those sentiments?
I mean, Darryl was viewed as a better prospect coming out of high school. So I think it's a belief that he's going to now live up to that billing, that he can be that guy. They're both extremely talented. I think they both bring a lot to the table. I think Mandrell can help a little bit more on the inside, while Darryl is going to help more on the edge. But yeah, I think there's a belief in the building that Darryl is going to basically meet the expectations, and that it could come as early as this year.
They got a good defense, Chris. You got some offensive line. You're up next, man. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see you. Gonna zig? You gonna zag? What are you gonna do, man?
I'm proud of their defensive domination so far. It's how I would do it if I was drafting against me right now. And the Danzig pick is 1,000,000% what you do.
Oh, You mean they're falling into your trap? Is what you're saying?
No.
Load them in.
It's good drafting. Like if I'm taking tackles, then go take the really good skill players that can dominate the position. I probably need to get on the board with a defensive lineman.
Another one, yeah. You got a Jack,
Lyon, which I'm not a Daniel Lyon guy, but they believe in the building that he's going to be really, really good for them. I hope it's true. Like I hope we get the Alabama version consistently. I love that version of him. It just doesn't show up consistently enough for my liking. And then I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Mekhi Jones, and he is at Field, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Field.
So, yeah.
Well, the safety room is one of the better ones on the team. Daniel Lyon, do we think we're just going to see, is there like another level of Daniel Lyons? Like he's going to be relied upon more, Chris? I can kind of hear the skepticism a little bit. We've seen him play a lot of football.
Right. That's where I always land with him is he has played a ton. He's played in the system for a year. I always go back to the Bama game last year where I felt like he played really well because he played multiple roles. He did them at a high level. He played pretty good to every snap that he played. Like if we get that version of him over 12 games, he'll have a really productive, good season. But the issue is I've never seen that level of consistency out of him as a player. Maybe he's matured and reached that point. I think there's some belief in the building that he has. I'm just hesitant to think. I think Daniel Lyons is a guy that they're hoping is better because they need him to be better.
Yeah, pick 14. And I think that once again, we started getting to like the depth of the roster because you don't feel great about pick 14. And I feel like that's kind of the first pick so far where it's like, I got to do it to like plug it. And this is what we kind of felt with the 40 most important player list as well. And when we start to talk about that depth, right? Because when you look at a lot of the ones across this roster, it's like, oh, dude, Danzy, Deuce, Chroma, the Desirs, Chris Jones, like you feel good. But I think that depth that we've been talking about all preseason, it really starts to kind of show its head around like when you're talking about this part of the roster, like this level, right? So I'm interested to see what the new guys are going to do with their 2 picks here. Can I interest you in a tight end?
No, I don't think so yet.
Necessarily.
I'm thinking O-line and maybe one safety. So
I'm on the exact same thought train as you there. I think we take CJ Richard to take the boundary safety spot.
Oh, okay. Kirkland or CJ. That's kind of the.
I mean, wherever you want to go with that, I think it can go either way. I feel like they've been a little higher on CJ Richard just as a guy.
Talking a lot about
yeah, I know they're talking a lot about KJ, but this is year 4 for KJ where we haven't necessarily seen it yet. That's been the talk.
Chris is salivating. Chris is salivating.
No, I'm just enjoying the little spat going on. You guys continue.
If you want to go KJ Kirkland, we can take him. I would just think CJ, but I mean, there's 4 safeties on this team that you really do trust, and Chris has 2 of them already, so we need one regardless. I think we can lock in Braden Welch Joyner at center. Do you feel good about that?
Yeah, those were kind of the 2. It was either CJ or KJ, and definitely Braden Welch. But
which J you want, brother? You got to pick a J.
John feels convicted on CJ. I'm with it. I like it.
I don't think you like it that much, Chris. If you were picking a J, would you go C or K? If you were them,
I think they're very interchangeable. I think they're viewed relatively similar within the program. Truthfully, the one thing I like about KJ maybe more is that KJ has more experience in the system. He also has the versatility to play multiple roles. He's started at different spots already in his career at FSU, so I think there is that sort of built-in confidence with him.
That is true. I don't know who's going to play our. I don't know who's going to play our.
Already done, John. Doesn't matter.
CJ,
it's in the Excel sheet, dude. Sorry.
I guess
I was saying, dude. I thought KJ could bounce over there.
Oh,
You
man.
probably should have said something about that then.
But there is really, it's like 4 safeties, and then it's like we
Yeah.
got to find other pieces. Like a guy like Donnie can play as a reserve. He's done that plenty.
Hebert. Oh, dude, all he does is get on
Donnie
the
Hive,
field.
baby. And then they've talked about, with the injury to Carson Hobbs, guys like Ricky Knight, for example, have worked there. Nehemiah Chandler, I think, has gotten some work
Yeah,
there.
they mentioned that.
He's a reserve corner too, or may start even at corner, but I think Quindarius will be the other corner. So it's going to be interesting in that secondary. But I think the thing with KJ is he's going to find a role on the field, even if it's not starter on a piece of paper. I think he plays starter level reps because of the versatility to play multiple roles.
You've sowed some seeds of dissension, Chris. Now you get 2 picks. Are you like, is this going to your plan, man? I don't know. This is good. This is good games.
After that solid speech
Oh
on
my
KJ
God.
Kirkland, I'm gonna go.
Oh, they took your boy.
And I'll throw Quindarius in there too, since I just talked about him. So,
How's his health been, Chris? They mentioned has he been a little beat up?
I think he was living in green a little bit at the end of camp here in the past week, but I don't think it's a concern in the sense of him missing time.
Okay, and we think he pretty much got that CB2 spot kind of locked down. We know Chandler, as was his film from where he was coming from, the highs are high, the lows was a little bit of a variance. I think maybe Quindarius is more of a steady hand on the other side.
Yeah, they really liked Quindarius' camp. He was a guy that was consistently praised for maturing and taking the next step, and more than anything, just kind of buying into what they were doing with their corners, what Blue was teaching, Blue Adams, and what Tony White wants those guys to do. I think last year was quite an adjustment for Quindarius. Such a violent, kind of in-your-face player, and some of the things that the system demands are very different than that. I think he had to learn that portion of the game a little bit.
All right, new guys. Chris's safeties are done. His tackles are done. Your defensive line's looking pretty solid. Interior offensive line looking good. You can throw the ball to receivers. Chris still ground heavy. This is an interesting makeup. Where are you going to go next, new guys?
It's what does Chris not need? So we're not going to take Weiser until the very end because
he doesn't need tackle. He doesn't need safety,
take,
obviously.
We could take a linebacker. We could take a receiver. O-line, I don't feel pressed about. D-line, what does he have filled?
He's just got one.
So he has edge and D-line. So what? There's McCray. There's Anderson. There's who else is left? Diggs.
I'm a little tempted by Kevin Wynn just because.
Yeah, you know what? I'm down with that. Yeah, big guy in the middle.
He can play a nose. In theory, he can play a legit nose with the size and athleticism that he has. He's the only guy on the roster. He's really just built like that.
Do we want to take a wide receiver and squeeze him or take a linebacker and squeeze him?
Oh, man, they want to put the screws together.
Which receiver would you go for next year?
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Because he obviously knows what's going through my head.
Yeah.
And I like 7, man.
I know. That's what I'm thinking too. But
I know the backer he's going to pick next. And I almost just want to make him do the other 2 and live it. Well, I don't know, actually.
Steps ahead, 40 chess. What are you going to do? I don't even know what's going on. I love it. Chris, they think they know you better than you know yourself, man.
I think
I'm kind of going to go Lavallee.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you just because there's 2 options we can take for that next receiver.
Yeah.
Even if we don't get Lopez and Chris takes him, I think Boggs is they're going to be pretty interchangeable for a lot of this season, but. Which
Lavallee do you want to go?
Caleb, certainly.
Caleb. Okay. Just want to check. Chris would ask too if you weren't specific.
I'm pretty pleased with our defensive unit.
Filled out rather nicely. The Kevin Wynn thing I mentioned. Obviously, John, I want to talk to you about it. Important position, needs to play. One of those guys who does have the size. What have you been hearing from camp, man? Are we feeling confident about his ability with these extended snaps? Is it still TBD? I mean, have you heard enough good stuff about him for your liking?
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is just that he can be on the field more and play that nose that they are looking for, because to me, since I've started looking at this team, he's been the biggest swing spot on the D line, just as a guy who is legitimately 315 pounds and has that. He was the top 60, I think, prospect or whatever coming out. There's a reason they have the expectations for him within the program that they do as a high 4-star guy and stuff like that. But you just got to put it together, and that's kind of asking a lot for a sophomore and a guy who didn't really get a ton of experience last season. But you're also hoping that a new level of commitment to the work on his body and those kind of things can translate into results on the field, because you at a certain point, like you're saying, you do just need guys who can not two gap, but eat double teams and really just sit in one of those the A gap or something like that and just plug up the middle, even if he's not necessarily the guy making all the run stops.
And Chris, I'm going to ask you because you followed his recruitment, you followed his story, like the entire thing before we get to your 2 picks. Are you confident in Kevin Wynn this season based on what you've seen and heard?
Yeah, I think Kevin will be a good piece for them. I think
that's big. That's very big.
Kevin is a tree stump who's strong as hell. I think the fact he got himself in better shape is going to make him a better 4-quarter player. I think he's going to be more available. Now, what they're going to ask of him, I think is a hell of a lot to ask of a guy entering his second year with only about 4 games of reps. But yes, I think he'll be good.
All right. Your picks, sir.
Well, I feel like I need to get somebody that can catch a pass. So, and I love
eventually
Jason Lopez here. Not convinced he definitely starts. Yeah, I mean, come on. He catches everything thrown at him. He's always open. Everybody you talk to within the program raves about what he's done. And since I'm definitely going with team offense over team defense for the most part, I'm going to go with Andre Otto at left guard because I think he'll be the starter, though Paul Bowling has made that very interesting down the stretch and is a very good, capable guard who they will draft to use opposite of Braden Welch Joyner on one of his shoulders.
Okay.
I'm glad Chris took Otto because I wanted Bowling all along anyway.
Yeah, I think so too.
I always wanted.
You can take him now if you like.
No. Now
everybody loves the backups.
Yeah, I mean, everyone likes the new guys too. Well, they love the new guys. Read the comments.
We could steal Bowling and make sure Chris doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he still needs interior offensive line anyways. But
how about a Nehemiah Chandler?
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Lock in the secondary, and then
and you're
lock in the cornerbacks, not necessarily the secondary.
Yeah, I know.
He could end up playing field safety for us at some point. We'll see.
Chris allows you, yeah. All right, you got Nemo. Who else are you going to find?
What's left options? Jalen Anderson, Jordan's.
I mean, I don't think Chris is going to take. I mean, I guess unless you can put Anderson on the edge.
But that's what I was about to say. He has one more. We don't have a jack, do we?
No.
So I think we could probably just do
Chris
Anderson.
Has a jack, so he's not going to put him on the edge. He's going to take Diggs or something.
Yeah, that's where my thinking is initially.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'm fine to sit there. What do we think is best available?
Man, you got him thinking, Chris. You got him thinking, dude.
I mean, Boggs could lock in the last flex spot.
I think it's probably either Boggs or.
Not feeling great about this tight end room, huh, guys? You've seen tight ends get drafted pretty high in the NFL draft. If you got a good one, I can't interest you in any of the tight ends, huh?
I think it's either maybe Boggs or maybe Bowling. I don't know how you feel about those.
Let's take Boggs.
Yeah.
I feel like we can sit on Bowling.
Because that's a starter at the end of the day.
Hi, Chris. There's a lot more. Their picks at the beginning of the draft. I think it speaks to the depth of the roster, but I think that I like the intensity. These guys want to win. Chris, you're sitting there silently. I think you're just taking it all in. Do you like the amount of chatter going on back and forth? You got them thinking. They think they know you. I think they got you.
You know what's crazy? Man. I just looked up. We're 40 minutes in. It feels like it's been 5 minutes.
I mean, they've only had one real marital spat at any point, so I'm kind of.
It's been pretty good. Usually around the 40 minutes, people start to get loopy.
Imagine if me and Sonone tried to be on the same team back in the day.
Not in the same room.
I would have drove over his house and threatened him from the driveway.
The Homer Bart joke. All right, Chris, you're up.
I'm going with Paul Bowling because I'm just spiteful.
I knew it. Honestly, I don't hate it though.
Where are you putting him? You're going to put him at guard? He can play.
Yeah, I'm putting him at
center
right
too, right?
He has played center in the past, so I'm putting him at right guard.
Okay.
That is pick 25, I believe. Yes.
I think so.
I mean, I'm already cooked at receiver and tight end. It's split the difference between the top 2 guys. So
nobody cares about tight end.
I'm gonna go.
I have the same feeling about the tight ends.
The Sandman. Go ahead, John. You were saying about what were we?
With the tight ends,
it's tight ends.
It's just Riles and Thomas. I'm very comfortable being the second person to draft a tight end.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's interesting to me because there was a lot of positive talk on Riles. I feel early on in camp, when he came in, they had a lot of high opinions of him as a weapon. And now by the time the first game's going to start, him and Landon Thomas are kind of like interchangeable. Like, is that an interesting development for a head coach and offensive coordinator who likes to put multiple of these guys on the field at the same time?
I think Ross is a better pass catcher. I think Thomas is the guy who can do a little bit more of everything they want at the position. But the truth of that position is going to be they're going to have to use multiple pieces to get the required or things they just want from that position. You know, Grayson Labiod is probably going to play because he can block, for an example of that. And then Xavier Tiller may break through there a little bit because he is a decent big size pass catcher. He's a 6'5" athletic guy who gets it on the field really effectively. A guy who can attack the seam, which is something they like to do with that position. And Chase Lofton also should be mentioned, but he was a little banged up in camp, so that slowed things down a bit for him.
If you had to rank the tight ends in terms of blockers, who would it be? Who do you think?
I honestly think they like Labiad most because
I do too. Yeah, I do too.
He's got 15 pounds on basically anyone else in that room.
I think Landon's next in that conversation, and that makes me super uncomfortable because, like, I know he's capable of it, but we got to see him do it.
But that was the first things I heard out of that. It's crazy saying second scrimmage because it was like feels like 2.5 weeks ago now. But with like Labiad was out there a lot in blocking sets. So
yeah, I think like I said, to me that was like as somebody who watches a lot of film, it was like it's once again, dude, it's an offensive coordinator, a head coach that loves his tight ends, but man, it's gonna the functions of a good tight end, you're gonna have to like have 3 or 4 guys to do it, man. It's not ideal, but we'll see if he adapts. That's something that I'm looking for. New guys, time for you to adapt. 2 more picks. Chris's offensive line is done. So your defensive line is your defensive? It's almost.
No, we need an edge or a jack. Excuse me. So John, he's maxed out at safety and O line.
Yeah,
so we can kind of sit there. I think we can take the best tight end and best jack. I don't think. So, I mean, do you want Jalen Anderson at jack? He's kind of the only other option.
I think that's probably a safe pick.
And then do we want to do Riles? Because we can afford to sit on O-line. I mean, I guess who else could play safety, but he could take it corner? Like, is there anyone that even transitions over?
Ricky Knight's the one answer there. But
yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I will make the solemn vow to you at this moment. I'm not drafting Ricky Knight.
A man of his word. Okay.
I think Riles has the higher upside as a pass catcher for sure in this offense. I think that's why I think he was the 1A kind of guy coming into this. I mean, when we were out there at practice, they were going back and forth between the two of them, splitting reps. And I think a locked in Landon Thomas, which is what we've heard that they're getting this year, you know, not up till 12 a.m. playing video games and doing whatever he was saying he was doing. You know, like a focus on his body.
Did he say that?
He said he had changed his sleep habits and the way he goes about things. Yes.
All right. Yeah. Cool. I get it.
Yeah. He's talking about eating better and doing all the things that he just necessarily wasn't doing his first couple of years. Again, this is a guy that's a blue chip 4-star prospect who they once, you know, a couple of years ago when things weren't necessarily going the best for the team, he did step up in that tight end room as a true freshman and caught some balls, but. You know, like Chris has been saying, like we got to see it this season, and then I think they're going to need it.
With Wee Woo and Chaplin over there on Chris's team.
I'm excited to see what Chris does next because in the same way you have all been avoiding tight ends like the plague, I cannot wait for Chris to say who is going to be behind his defensive line at linebacker. Like I like, where are you going to go, man? You got to have him eventually.
Well, just to appease you because you're such a great host, I'll go with Mekhi Bayor.
Yeah.
Familiar with the system, guy who's played a lot of snaps for Tony White, defensive coordinator. And then, again, to just appease you, because at this point, we're really not picking against each other anymore. Unless somebody does something crazy. I'm going to go with my other linebacker being Blake Nicholson because I'm not drafting Omar Graham.
Why not?
I have no honest interest in seeing Omar Graham on the football field. The two best linebackers on this football team need to be Chris Jones and Caleb LaValle. And then they need Blake to be the athlete that he can be at the position. Mekhi's a veteran who I think they believe can help him in the pass coverage department. And then truthfully, I want the next guys up to be the freshmen, which is Isaiah Williams, Karan Maycock, and Noah LaValle are the 3 freshmen. There's 4 total freshmen, but those are the 3 that I think they can dent and make make a mark this year. Certainly on special teams, some on defense, with Williams being the first of those three.
Right, but those four that you mentioned, and honestly, the three primary linebackers being Jones, LaValle, and then Byer, with sort of Blake Nicholson doing the athletic Blake Nicholson, affecting the pass rush, going on blitzes, basically being pointed in a straight direction and saying go and using his athleticism. Other than that, you take a flyer on the youth, Chris, for the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm at the point where you want guys that you can see what they can do instead of guys that you've seen play a lot of downs.
Yeah, there's a lot of calculated risks on this team, but man, there's a lot of known quantities too, and the production is what it is at some of these spots. Linebacker would be one where I think we know what a lot of those guys give you. All right, newbies, what are you gonna do? You gonna do something crazy? Chris doesn't think you will. He's kind of playing in your face.
Maybe like Ricky Knight and Jonathan Daniels, partially because
I think so. We need to tackle that at some point.
Yeah. If people see Trey Weiser's name and it has like 30 something next to it, they're gonna be like, "Whoa!"
That was just game theory stuff. That's not how good we think they are. That's game theory.
Yeah, but Ricky Knight is someone they've talked about being able to play that nickel if they need to. Since the Carson Hobbs injury, I'm almost tempted somewhat by Jordan Crutchfield, just as the athlete he is coming in as a true freshman, but I think Knight just a little bit older, like another one of those guys that's kind of been in that cluster of cornerbacks that they have, where it's like these guys were pretty solid prospects, but what have they done since they've been here? Not a ton so far, but we're hoping that it projects to be more this season.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, did you?
It is Ricky Knight, just to be clear.
That's definitely the one we're doing at safety,
Okay.
and then. I don't really know who else, because we're not picking against Christopher. I don't think anyone else, but I also don't even know who else could play.
Who would play left tackle on your team? Who's going to play tackle on your team? Who are the next tackles?
I think we got to take take Jonathan Daniels just to be a tackle. And at the end of the day, we can. I mean, if Chris lets us, I guess we can kick Nate Paps out to right tackle, but we'll see if he lets us do that.
I think Trey may have froze on us. He got so excited about all this.
We were running
Look
so
at that beautiful face we got from Trey right there. That's pretty fun. That's a solid freeze face.
Flew too close to the sun. Is he back?
We'll see if Trey comes back to life here. All right. Good times. I'll throw on my hosting hat here for a minute until we have good Trey. All right, okay. So you boys are good with those two picks. Jonathan Daniels landing at left tackle for you?
I think so.
Yes.
I mean, if that's going to be our left tackle, that's what it is at this point.
Yep.
I'm going with Devin Carter to fill out my receiver group. Obviously a freshman. He's had a pretty quiet preseason. We think he's been banged up to some degree.
Yeah.
Not sure the exact severity there.
That's interesting taking him over Gelsey.
I just think he'll get more opportunities. Again, the thing with Gelsey is while they moved receivers around, I think Gelsey is Deuce's primary backup, and I think therefore that hinders his ability to see the field as much as they may want to use him. If they go wide and they want a lot of big bodies out there, I think Gelsey's a guy that they put out there, but I think Devin probably gets more opportunities. That's why I land on that. But Gelsey has had a good preseason. They've been pleased with him. And I'm going to go with Charles Lester, the third, as my second corner. I think right now he's probably the guy that they feel most confident about naming as their next corner at that spot, their fourth guy at that spot. Track Howard, Jamari Howard's made a nice mark there. Ricky Knight was in that mix too before the field safety stuff came about for him. You know, Lester's kind of a make or break season in the sense of he's got to be a solid 2-deep player. He's got to be reliable when he gets the snaps and when he gets the opportunities to make the most of them. He's not exactly done the best with that throughout his career to this point in time.
That's like you're saying, that fourth cornerback position where they're just going to need, you have a top three that you at least feel solid about with Rawls and then Jones and then Chandler at that second spot, but then it's that fourth one where it's that cluster of guys where it's who steps up into that.
Yep.
And Lester, we've heard him making picks and things like that throughout practice. So
right. Chris, can we kick Nate out?
You want to kick Nate to right?
Ideally.
All right.
And then I think we'll take are you down with Perrette?
Oh, wait, no, he took Paul Bowling. Never mind.
Yeah, so we'll definitely take Perrette.
Yeah.
All right. And which guard do you want him at? Does it matter?
He's playing behind. No, Bowling's behind Otto. Perez.
Yeah, so probably right guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then do you want to just fill out the O line, or do you want to take another safety?
I genuinely don't know. Like that's what we've been putting off. Is I don't know who plays Rover.
Donnie Hebert. Like, what else do we
I
have?
almost want to make just say Chuck Kennan and be like, "Good luck, true freshman. You're going to be the leader of our defense."
Do we do Isaiah Williams back there?
No, Donnie Hebert's a smart pick. Donnie
Hebert did not have him on the draft card tonight, but here we are. Great special teams player.
He's going to be a great rover.
Starting rover.
Yeah, he's going to be a great rover, Chris.
It's okay, guys. We all have deficiencies. It's just the depth of the team. All right, so you two are through those. So my tight end, I guess I'm going to go with Landon here.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that Landon can live up to be the player that they recruited. He was such a good high school player as a junior. We'll see if he kind of returns to that form. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm also very intrigued by their belief in him as a blocker. I think it's an interesting scenario for them. Edge, I am drafting Tay Diggs, which is wild because I'm just not Tay Diggs' guy. That you guys weren't around for this last year, but a friend of mine was involved with him at another school and just was very surprised when FSU took him. They had their doubts that he'd be a really good player here. He had one flash last year on play created by one of the twins. But we shall see what he can be. He is much bulkier. I think he's in the mid 270s now. They kind of like him as like a big edge. Truthfully, he reminds me size-wise a bit of Darryl with what they're doing with him. He's not as big as Mandrell. So we'll see. I know he's a guy that Nick Williams likes. I've straight up had conversations with Nick about him, and he just raves about him. He likes him a ton.
There he is.
Good to see you're back. So we're gonna catch you up, Trey. While you froze and died for a moment there.
I'm alive again.
While you were gone, we won the draft.
It's over.
I think roughly when you left, they had drafted John Daniels at left tackle.
They
Then I
did.
went with Devin Carter at wide receiver, Charles Lester III as my second corner. And then when it went back to their side, they went with Donnie at rover because they needed a rover at this point. And Sean.
Oh, Donnie Hive, dude, stand up. All right.
And then I came back and took Landon Thomas as my second tight end, or I'm sorry, the second tight end taken. Yeah. And I spoke about how I hope he returns to his junior high school form. And I took Tay Diggs as my edge, which going into
took
this,
Tay Diggs? You did?
I know. Shocker of the night, quite possibly. Going into this, nobody expected that, but here we are.
Did you talk to him about your personal history? Like, okay. I shared
that whole thing was sullied for me from the word go because of something that was told to me by somebody who had previously coached him at a different school or been on a staff at a different school that he played at. Yeah, we'll see. Nick Williams likes him.
Okay.
I think it was spring. It might have been very beginning of preseason, but I think it was spring where I just kind of straight up asked him, like you like Tay Diggs? Like, you think that's going to work out? And he's like, yeah. And Nick's a pretty passionate dude, and he had a pretty passionate reply about that. So we'll see.
Right. Hey, we like that. He's on Team Old Guy, man. I love it. Now, this is surprises at the end of the draft. I'm just happy to have internet up here in Iowa. I come back, I rise from the dead. You got to stick with this OTB draft, dude. There's excitement at every minute, even minute 58. All right. So is it the young guys?
Yeah, I think it's our last two.
Yeah,
it's
last
our last
two.
two. They fill this thing out.
Let it rip.
We thinking Jaden Todd?
I was just about to say Jaden Todd is our left guard, and then we take Trey Wisner with our last pick.
Trey Wisner, 40th overall.
Yeah, why? Obviously, once again, that was just you didn't have to pick him till then. How has Trey's camp been? Just for all of you guys, he's a very highly prized acquisition. Like coming from Texas, like a lot of we thought he might have been kind of RB1 before all the Chroma and the Singleton stuff happened. Has he had a good camp?
No, he hasn't camped a whole lot, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, I asked somebody the other day what's up with him, and they're like, he's just old. That's how they described it.
Is that really what they said?
Yeah,
they said
he's just old. I know he's been rocking a leg sleeve at times, so I guess maybe it's something lower leg. I think with Trey, it's one of those where he's like I know he's not a known commodity in their system, what they do, but he's a known commodity to what they do. Like, he's familiar with it, and he's also a known commodity with college production. So I don't think there's been a pressing need to run him through camp.
Me and Colby were having a conversation with somebody. I think it was on Thursday, the last day we were up there for interviews, and I kind of said I feel like Trey's been dismissed by people because of Sam and Usman having really good camps. Trey's still going to be a factor for them offensively. They like him, they valued him, they paid him a lot to bring him in. Yeah, I don't think they're just going to walk from him. I think they're going to have a 3-back rotation, and he's one of those 3 backs. And I think, truthfully, the level of him and Sam won't be very different. I think Ooze is who they lean on, but I think those two will both get quality opportunities.
I was just talking with Kevin Little before he came on.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different conversation, but it just came up again. Hungry dog runs faster.
Yeah, that's fair. I really liked his film. I just think he did something. He was a very patient runner. He had really good vision, good lateral agility in the hole. I really think he's a guy like I trust him on like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. I really do, in a way that I don't know if I don't trust Usman Chroma. I just don't think that like 100% known running down, you got to make the tough 3 or 4 to convert. I don't know that that's necessarily his strength. Like, I like Trey Weiser's film coming out. It's been an interesting development. I wonder if he's a guy that asserts himself more into the rotation as the year goes through or becomes more situational. Like it's a very interesting development for a guy that they prized, really early in the transfer portal.
And I think he'll get a good amount of like 3rd down work too, just as like a guy they trust as a pass protector and a guy who can. He's not necessarily like the downfield receiver that Usman Chroma is, but he caught a lot of dump offs out of the backfield and did that well during his starting seasons at Texas. So, like you said, like just with the investment they made in him, you'd think that they still have a plan for him at some point.
You would think. All right. Well, the teams they're a finished product. We'll go team old guys first. We both have Ashton Daniels. But you got Chroma, Lopez, Devin Carter, Landon Thomas, Sam Singleton is a flex. High running backs there. Chaplin, Otto, Sandman, Bowling, Wee Woo. That's a good line right there. Then you got Rylan Kennedy, Lions, McCray, Tay Diggs, unbelievable. Byer, Nicholson, Q, Lester, Barker, KJ Kirkland, and Mekhi Jones. That's team old guy. The Young Bucks, Deuce, Danzy, Wisner, Riles, Boggs, Jonathan Daniels, Jaden Todd, Braden Welch Joyner, Sean Perrette at guard. Interesting. You kick Pabst out to right tackle. So, Chris, you did let that fly while I was dead. In the internet
I got to be nice to the new folks.
You're a nice guy. Okay. Jalen Anderson, Mandrell, Wynn, Darrell, both Desir supremacy. Jones and Lavallee, the 2 starting linebackers, we think. Rawls, Chandler, Big Don, CJ, and Ricky Knight. Guys, what do we think? For your first experience doing this, young guys, are you happy with this team? Did it go the way you thought it was going to go, drafted against a wily veteran?
I think so. Like you're saying, like as you get deeper into this roster, that's where the conversations between me and Colby really started. But like I feel really good about the top of what we got. Like in turn, like I feel really good about our D line compared to Chris's. I feel really good about our receiver room with Robinson and Danzy leading that, and then Boggs is another starting level guy. We'll see about that specific O-line combination if that ever happens.
That's a funky. I will say
year.
That is a funky looking O-line combination,
yeah.
Dude.
And same on the back end of that defense with the secondary or with the safety room.
Safety group. There's definitely some positions like lopsided. Like I think our linebacker group is probably a step ahead. I like our line. Overall, for how it played out, I feel pretty good about it. Now, we might have to bring in Chip Kelly to be the OC because our line's a little suspect. But outside of that,
not bad. And Chris, you've done this. Number one.
Time.
We're about like the hour and 3 mark for a full draft. Like this is record time. Not much other than my Earthlink died in the middle of it. Sorry about the old dial-up. Mine died in the middle. My Firefox. Chris, what do you think? You've done this? We've done this for like 4 or 5 years now, man. How do you feel about this team compared to others? How'd you feel about the draft process? You think you took these kids to the woodshed a little bit?
I did not woodshed them. I obviously like my running backs. I like my O-line. I'm not as upset with my D-line as I thought I would be when I was, seeing guys come off the board who I would have preferred, like the Twins. Linebacker, they definitely had the better group. I think I have the better secondary. So not a woodshed. I think it's pretty solid. I do always enjoy this exercise, if for nothing else, to look at the view of depth of the football team. And I always think it's a strong study in that. There's certain positions where you're sort of willing to sacrifice great players, like wide receiver. Obviously, I would have liked to get one of the three that I think will start. I think they got all three of the guys that will be listed first on the line. But like, I was always content with only getting one of them and then having Lopez, who I think is basically a guy who is starter quality that's going to be not necessarily on the first line when the depth chart comes out. And then like with D line, like, if they're just playing three guys up there, I'm content with the three I have with Kennedy, Lyons, and McCray. But like if they're playing four up there, then yeah, it gets real scary real fast, and that sort of speaks to it. And linebackers, an interesting study because there's a lot of old, some really young, and then the transfer and the guy who was a transfer last year who was hurt all year, who I think are going to overtake that room. I think that room, more than any other position on this football team, has been completely morphed by the person coaching that room. I think Ernie Sims has decided he wants guys that play football like he did, and he's just ready for a change. I think he was slightly disgusted by what he saw at linebacker position last year when he was on support staff. And I think Chris Jones and Caleb LaValle are the starting guys for him because they both play, in his words, like apex predators, ultra physical, very much like alphas. I think he was always searching for alphas when he went into this preseason, even the spring. But yeah, I mean, the secondary, it's amazing. Like there are four safeties you feel good about, and then it's like, man, I don't know what they would do. And then at corner, it's kind of like there's three that they feel really good about, and then man, I'm not sure what they'll do. Like that's always interesting to me because I think the normal fan view going into a season is like the best case scenario because these are our starters and they're pretty good. I think this football team overall has pretty good starters. My concern, especially with a schedule of the magnitude of what FSU is going to face, is how good is the depth and how good are they going to be when November 1st rolls around? Because they're going to have to lean on some of those reserves. And that's where it gets kind of scary season for me with some of this football team.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, and I think a lot of those positions too, where maybe you didn't even think that the depth was that big of a concern, like the secondary. Maybe I kind of see that the secondary that we have. And we got a bunch of corners playing safety, and you got Donnie Hebert out there, and
like four guys.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and that's one where they do. That's a rotational heavy thing where it's. I felt good about. I've talked positive about the room. I feel really good about the top four in that safety room, but with. I don't know. It's interesting. That's where the depth's going to be. However, any good college football season, you got to have injury luck. If you want to have a good season, you got to have a little bit of injury luck. It is just interesting there. And I like this exercise too, not only to see in real time, like talk out those rooms, talk out the depth, but then kind of prioritize. Like, who do we think is going to be the next person up at like linebacker or safety or wide receiver, just to kind of give you our honest thoughts of, depth charts are going to be released, but like, who are the guys that we think when they're actually on the field, who are going to be making an impact? So that's why I love this. I think this is good. I love this exercise. It's football week. It's game week. Please, everybody in the comments, who do you think won? Is it the old guy? Is it the new guys? Was it a stalemate? Was it even? Was the podcast much more enjoyable once I dropped out from the internet? Let us know all of your thoughts, and do that on Noles247.com with Noles 60% off annual promo code while drinking your Chattanooga whiskey and selling your house to the Turner Group. Just do it all. We love you guys. Anything else that we want to say? Another preseason milestone in the books. The roundtable's done. The draft finito. Guys, it's game week.
We're still close.
We are close.
So to lay out the week, Monday, we'll get Mike Norvell. We'll talk to him. We'll get depth chart and game notes, presumably get a depth chart in the game notes. They traditionally have done one. They teased a little bit last week that maybe they don't. We shall see.
Ooh.
I believe we get practice coverage in the sense of post-practice on Tuesday and Wednesday of the week. New Mexico State, Saturday at 7. We'll have plenty of stuff leading up to that. We'll record a pod later in the week, probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Previewing that game, talking about visitors expected in. We talked a little bit about visitors on the recruiting pod that me and Colby did a few days ago. And then Saturday rolls around and we're into game one and we go from the imaginary to the real.
and we'll see what it is.
No more theoretical, baby. It's all on the field. It's all practical, and it's all happening at Knowles247.com. Knowles60, get that 60% off annual VIP. Do it now. And, guys, it's game week. So keep chopping. Let's go. Let's go.